Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mike and Dave Hit the Stage. It's time for us to talk about, well, this time it's going to be a fun subject. Our first actual topic is going to be The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah, man.
Now, I picked the topic, but I didn't tell you what it meant. So I wanted to hear what it meant to you.
Well, what I took from it was songs about the devil or being evil or that vein, you know? After you told me it was a little different, it was the heaviest songs you could find.
I think I picked the most profoundly evil, dark, or disturbing songs
right.
that I could find.
So our lists are going to be a little different.
They're very different. And one of the things that makes it so different is that we have these wildly opposite styles.
Right.
And we're going to go right into song one.
Okay.
I was very surprised at how much I like this. The first time I heard Born with the Tail by Super Suckers, I was like, I didn't know what to make of it at first.
All right.
And then I was like, okay, I really like this, and I shouldn't. But I do. And I had to make notes because it was weird. It's very upbeat considering it's about being evil.
Yes.
It's almost sarcastic.
I think it is.
It better be. Because otherwise, it's weird. Because it also feels somewhat inspirational to me.
Inspirational.
Like uplifting. Like
Oh.
it's like out of...
Yeah.
So this guy thinks farting and having a big dick make you evil.
Right. You can use my dick as a walking stick.
If that is evil...
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. I'm
All
pure
right,
evil.
take it easy.
Well, the farting, really.
Oh, okay. Not the big dick
I have the
part.
stomach of a goose that ate Mexican food. Yeah, no, it's pretty weird. There's a phrase in this song, in the chorus, you know I'm in league with Satan.
Yes.
Now, it is meant to be cheesy and sarcastic.
And I think it's meant to piss people off who hear it.
And the best thing is that's the coolest fucking line.
Right? You know
it is so
I'm
cool.
in league with Satan. It catches you.
It felt like, the second I heard it, I'm like, that is so cool. And he's not trying to be evil. And that's what made it even cooler. Because he's like, it's almost like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, come on. And it feels like they know what it means, like what evil means. And they're like literally making fun of the guys like me who listen to heavy, dark, aggressive shit and enjoy it and think that's what evil is.
Well, it's also the name of the album is where is it? Oh, here. The Sacrilegious Sounds of the Super Suckers.
Sacrilegious is one of my favorite terms from The Simpsons too.
Yeah.
That's when they're force feeding Homer donuts in hell. No. The forbidden donut.
Yeah.
It was when he turned his head into a donut, he kept eating pieces of his head. Sacrilegious.
So this song, this band actually, I was introduced through the Scullies.
Okay.
The punk band that I played in. They wanted to cover. We were trying to pick cover songs, and one of the ones that they wanted to do was from the Super Suckers, and I forget what song it was. It wasn't this one, but I started listening, and I was like, okay, this is nuts. It's like a country punk band almost.
It does have that I wouldn't call it country, almost like a rockabilly sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it.
Well, it's got the country vibe to it.
Oh, I think all rockabilly kind of has that because rockabilly.
Yeah.
It feels fun. First and foremost, it just feels like a fun song.
Uh-huh.
And it definitely was not the direction I was going with this, but it was a welcome addition to my collection. It actually now comes up in my regular shuffle. Like I don't make playlists for myself normally.
Right.
I let YouTube Music do the super mix.
Okay.
Stuff in your wheelhouse at all times. And I listen to it once. I listen to it actually. Anything I listen to like 4 or 5 times to see what I feel about it.
Right.
Especially when taking notes for this. And now it comes up in the rotation and it appropriately in the rotation of songs.
Now I just gotta let you know that there is a country version of that.
Of course there is. There has to be.
They made a country version.
Now we were talking about country bands doing non-country songs on the ride here.
Yeah.
And the worst I've ever heard was a bluegrass band do Killing in the Name, with
Right.
the full fiddle solos.
I thought it would have been awesome, but you told me otherwise.
Well, we have very different sensibilities, and that show was the worst large scale concert I've ever sat through because I didn't like the bands.
yeah.
And I wasn't terribly fond of the company at that time.
Okay.
Also, just the seats were great, the bands were not. It was I had earplugs in, and they were literally meant to drown out what I was listening to.
Oh, God.
It was bad. So I think if somebody's going to listen to "Born with the Tail" by the Super Suckers, be prepared. It's not evil, but it's definitely about evil and how they are very aware that they are not.
It's
so sarcastic.
It's almost, remember we were speaking about coming over here as well. We spoke about the Church of Satan. How
Yes.
it's not. They don't believe in Satan.
Yes.
Well, they don't.
They don't believe in the person.
Right.
They believe in profound evil. They believe in all
Right.
of that. But they do not believe in the literal Satan.
Right.
This is reaching into that. We don't talk about religion.
Right.
The Church of Satan is not really a religious group. They are a personal freedoms group.
Right. But that's what I mean about this is that they
Which
don't-
also borders into politics, which we don't talk about.
right. They don't. But they don't.
Yeah, they're not pushing.
They're not. I'm in league with Satan, but
Haha, yeah.
you know.
It's the same. The kid who yells, "I'm possessed."
Yeah. Yeah. You know. So this is where I was coming from with this topic is I thought let's have a little fun with it.
Oh,
And you'll see by the end of this with my list where I went.
and listened to all these songs and gave them each the same number of listens, the same amount of 100% attention, and I have very different opinions on each one.
Good. Good.
And this song is genuinely part of my collection now.
Excellent. I'm glad.
Now we have a double on this. We have a double of the same band on this list,
Oh, yes. Yes.
and this is going to happen. Sometimes even from my side, I'll pick two songs from the same band. But in this case, we both picked Slayer songs.
yes. Well, it only makes sense.
Yeah, Slayer is one of the best writers about dark, evil stuff
Right.
that I can think of.
Right.
And they're one of the two, and they are probably the best. They without the guttural screaming, he does scream, but it's completely intelligible.
Yeah.
But my first choice was Dead Skin Mask,
Right.
which is about the serial killer Ed
Ed
Gein.
Gein. Yeah.
Profoundly evil.
Yes.
There is no more evil than serial killers, let alone killers of children.
Yeah. This was a great pick, man. As soon as I saw it, I was like,
The first time I
Yes.
heard this album, I can tell you where I was the first time I heard this album.
by the way, this was the first Slayer album I heard.
This is, like I said, this is not the first Slayer album I heard. Like
Yeah.
I said before, Haunting the Chapel was the first.
Right.
This I heard in the cafeteria of the all-boys Catholic high school I went to.
Good place.
And a friend of mine handed me the disc. I put it in my CD
Learn about
player.
God, hear about Satan.
It was like I was listening to Metallica, Megadeth. Somebody handed me this. I had never heard this album at all before. Seasons in the Abyss. I could have picked almost any song from this album,
Yeah.
but this one always stuck with me. The screaming at the end.
What's amazing to me, yeah, with the little boy or little
and
girl, I can't tell.
Their
what it is.
intros. It's a boy.
It's yeah,
The intro is discordant. This is a thing that Slayer's known for. It's a great sound, but it's just this side of being discordant where it feels off.
yeah,
And it makes you feel like I always felt like it made me kind of sit a little different.
yeah. It was a little
This
unnerving, or
it's meant to be unnerving.
Right,
South
right.
of Heaven and Seasons in the Abyss and Dead Skin Mask. I always felt the same way with Raining Blood,
well, okay.
which is
Yes.
another really evil song.
We could have picked a million Slayer songs,
and up until their last album,
because the funny thing is that South of Heaven is my favorite album, right? So my favorite Slayer album, not my favorite album of all time.
my favorite Slayer, Seasons in the Abyss.
And just song after song, the song after that, it just kicks right in.
Yep, and there's no moment.
There's
to
no
calm
break,
yourself.
right? You're just right into it.
Like I was, we all watch Marvel movies. Everyone's seen at least one,
Right.
And at the end of a very emotional scene, there's usually a fade out.
Right.
giving you a moment to process what you felt.
Yeah.
And Slayer doesn't believe in that.
Right.
It's another punch to the throat.
Right.
It's another kick.
Right.
That's one of the things I love about it. And another one of my favorite bands who's also on this list is right there with them. Another group of thrash metal guys that have consistently kicked you in the face.
Right.
Since they decided to go all in, they go all in.
Okay.
And Slayer has been all in. And with the loss of Jeff Hanneman, everyone thought it was going to change for the worse.
Okay.
When they got Gary Holt from Exodus, it was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Now, I'm admittedly not the most...
By the way, the last album I bought was that Divine Intervention?
Wow,
That was the last one.
you're missing a couple.
I know, but
Honestly,
I hate to say this, but Slayer started to sound the same to me.
yes. The last 3 albums are similar,
Yeah.
but the last 2 are very, very standout.
Okay, I'll give him a listen.
I'm not even the biggest Slayer fan.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend them.
Okay.
Just like you said, you dropped out of Megadeth
Yeah.
kind of early. There's a couple of albums, a couple
But
of the newer ones.
I also my musical style changed.
Yes.
You know?
But now's the time. We're going to be pushing each other.
I know.
You're going to push me towards
right.
stuff.
All right.
I'm going to push you towards stuff.
I like it.
And it's going to be a nice run. So the next one you picked, I'm mad at you
Why?
because I love Grim Reaper.
Yes. I didn't pick it for
No,
shits and giggles.
But it's so good. So I don't know if you were introduced to Grim Reaper the way I was.
I heard it when I was real young. Oh. And I see these bands like this one and like Priest. No, I got to know but Grim Reaper was just, and I only know a few songs.
I can probably name them. It's See You in Hell,
Right.
Rock You to Hell,
Right.
and
See, I couldn't even tell you.
probably
past
Suck It and See.
that. Probably.
It's
But
the only 3 that ever got airplay, and Suck It and See never got airplay in the United States.
yeah.
And the reason I know Grim Reaper is from Beavis and Butthead.
Okay.
Making fun of him.
You know what?
That was the first
that
time I
probably
heard
was
them.
part of it.
And like everyone else who saw it on Beavis and Butthead, I'm like, oh, these guys suck.
Yeah.
And then I listened to it on my own. I'm like, this.
It is, like I told you when I was coming over, it's the quintessential, what I think of when I think of 80s, not even like heavy metal.
It's glam metal.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Right.
His voice.
And it is, I mean, at the end of the day, when I listen to it, I love the song. It's like you said, it's on my playlist. It's almost comical at the end.
Yes. But because he hits a legit operatic note at the
Yeah.
end. That finish
Yeah.
is operatic.
Yeah.
But Steve Grimmett, the singer from Grim Reaper, passed away in the late 2015, 16 area. He was a phenomenal performer. He was a big guy, but still, and in the 80s,
Yeah.
you did not see big guys on
Yeah.
stage. The biggest guy you'd see was Leslie West from Mountain. Mm-hmm. And he's a big guy on guitar, and then he lost a ton of weight. Cocaine. That's how it happens.
It's a hell of a drug.
So it has definitely not affected my album collection. But Steve Grimmett, singer for Grim Reaper, he lost a leg in Ecuador. He ended up getting a bacterial infection in his leg, having to amputate.
Did they know how?
He cut his leg. He was diabetic.
Right.
And you're prone to
okay.
infections.
Yeah.
So he developed a massive infection. They took it from just above the knee down. Mm-hmm. And somehow he still got on stage after that. He got healed up, did physical therapy,
Right.
and kept going for a few more years. He eventually passed diabetic complications, heart attack. So
wow, okay.
He had multiple heart attacks, but the last ones were diabetic complications.
Yeah.
He was probably still drinking and having a good time, and drinking and diabetes do
No
not
good.
sit together.
Yeah.
But his falsetto voice is one of the most powerful of the time without a lot of the guys in the 80s had the extra effects to push him up. Not like King Diamond didn't, but he was up there. He wasn't singing full falsetto like King Diamond, but his high notes were high.
I'm gonna annoy some of my friends, but I don't like King Diamond either.
I have moments. I
have songs that I like only because they give me memories of hanging out with friends listening to those songs.
I am going to tell you a secret. One of the songs on this list, the singer covers a King Diamond song
Okay.
better than King Diamond, in my opinion.
Really? All right.
Yeah, but you don't like that singer.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that.
We'll get to it. He looked like Miss Piggy and Pleather.
Wait, who are we
Steve
talking
Grimmett.
Oh, okay.
The singer from Grim Reaper looked like Miss Piggy.
Yeah,
pleather.
in that video, isn't
Wait.
he wearing like a pink? Like,
He's wearing a red pleather outfit.
yeah, it's
Which is bad enough. And he's moving around. He looks like Miss Piggy with a fro. There's actually another video for Rock You to Hell.
yeah.
And that one he looks worse. Because he's got teased up hair.
Oh, I didn't look at
and
that
a leather
one.
jacket. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, I didn't look at that one.
I'll play it for you later. It's awful.
Yeah.
But the song is amazing. It has like the music video is from like a women in prison movie.
Okay.
It's like a B or C list movie. But it's an amazing song. It's not evil, but it is kind of evil.
Let's see what
It's
hell.
the idea-
See you in hell, my friend. I love it.
It's one of those. It really just it starts off hard.
Yes.
It keeps going.
Yeah.
But it feels so good. It's one of those like I could listen to that. It's on my. It shows up in my shuffle all the time. Grim Reaper's been.
Yeah, that's on mine all the
It's
time. Yeah.
been in my collection. I had the very best of Grim Reaper. 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
It's when I first got the good internet access. I could download full albums.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first ones I grabbed in total.
What I love about that song is that it's also sometimes I get tired of songs on my playlist and I just click next. This
That's
one,
never a
I
skip.
got to play this one through.
That's a weird
And I
never
sing it in
skip.
my car at full volume.
As you should. You always should. If you're gonna sing something, I guess it's at full volume. I shouldn't, because it's terrible. Now it's time for the song that we wanted to talk about, "Eye for an Eye" by Nightingale.
Hated it.
Now,
I'm sorry.
Was it content or production quality?
It's both. It was a long song, if I
It
remember
is a
correctly. It's like
weirdly
8
long
minutes
song.
long, and
It's 6 minutes long, so it felt longer.
oh god, it felt yeah, but it was the quality. The vocals were buried.
Yes.
It sounded like something that we would record. No offense, at Rock, and even Roxy one sounded.
I think Roxy
better.
sounded better.
Yeah.
The explanation for that, this was done in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
It was a solo project that he was working on, and he did everything himself within 3 days,
Okay.
including the programmed drums. Now, in his defense, he re-recorded some of the songs from this album in the mid-2000s, like 2005.
Yeah. How did they sound?
They're much better. They're a completely different...
Is it still just him? Or
No,
is it-
he got a full band.
Okay.
But
Still
this-
Nightingale.
It's still Nightingale. The style is very much more rock than goth feeling,
Okay.
because it's a very gothic feel.
Yeah, I didn't.
It's
get
a
that
very
at all.
Bauhaus
I
kind
guess.
of feel to it.
There were parts where he sounded like Mike Patton, and there were parts where like there was another singer that I tried to remember, and
Well,
Wait.
he has a huge range.
Yeah.
And his lows are so low
Yeah.
and almost, I wouldn't say guttural, but just droning. low.
Yeah.
And then his highs are high, but he doesn't really use a falsetto or anything high in this.
yeah,
This song is depressing to me because it's talking about, and this is kind of triggering for some people, but dissociation. In the song, if you listen to the lyrics, he's talking about having killed his friend.
okay. I
And
could
his-
barely hear it, so
His friend is now in control of his body,
Mm-hmm.
guiding him towards his own suicide.
wow.
So he suffers from a pretty serious mental
Yeah,
condition.
the
The actual singer,
Yeah.
he suffers from dissociative disorder.
okay.
So he believed, I don't know if he still does, that his friend was, him and his friend,
Oh, this was supposed to be a true story.
he wrote these as a form of therapy.
Oh, okay.
So the first 3 albums are all about this one subject, back and forth.
Wow. How do you
Yeah.
sing that many songs about the same thing?
Well, they're all very different styles, isolation, and they're all very depressing.
Mm-hmm.
But in this, it's the other personality that is linked to his soul is in charge.
Yeah.
And he's passively in the background watching this person plan his suicide.
Ew.
Yeah.
And he can't.
He has no
do anything.
control. Yep.
Okay.
And that's why the song ends with a pretty chilling scream.
Mm-hmm.
That is, in psychology, that's a primal scream.
Yeah.
That is meant to release you of whatever you have in you at the moment. The beginning of the next album is taken from the other perspective. It's the other personality.
Oh, and the friend of
in control of the body now.
Okay. See,
in
now that's-
full regret.
That's interesting. That's cool.
It's a failed. In the end, it's a failed suicide attempt. And it's now I have to get us out of here.
okay.
And 3 albums later, it's the idea that it took magic to get him out. It's one of those.
Oh, okay, it's
but
crazy.
he is mentally unstable.
Yeah.
He's an awesome singer.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks it's a concept album. It is.
Yeah.
But the concept is based on his actual mental illness.
So did the albums get progressively better?
The quality, absolutely.
Quality, yeah.
Eventually, he stops writing about it.
All right. So
And he puts out, after he does an album called, I believe it's called Recollections,
Mm-hmm.
which are these songs and the previous 3 albums and a couple of new songs, all recorded in super high quality.
Yeah.
Then he puts out an album, I think it's called The White Darkness.
Okay.
And it's a full album that has nothing to do with any of this, and it's just good writing.
yeah.
Once that happens, it's the highest quality. But, he did a lot of it on his own, and then once the first album's the only one with the drum machine. The second album, I think, is him and like 2 other people, and then
Okay.
it's an actual production suite.
So after this, I want to hear one of the later ones.
I can actually play you I could play you something from this album,
Yeah.
and an updated version as well.
Okay.
And that'd probably maybe give you a better
Maybe give me a
perspective.
little, yeah.
This song I picked specifically because of how depressing it is.
Oh, okay. All right.
It is-
I listen. I gave it like you said. I gave it like 5 or 6 listens. Like every day going to work, I would put it on.
Yeah, it's
and
a
this
tough
song would
listen.
come on, and I would just be like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah, it's the droning parts are painful to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah.
But that's meant to be the 2 voices arguing.
yeah.
Arguing the same side of the argument.
See, now I'll give it another listen. I definitely will. I still probably will not like it, but I will understand it.
Yeah, I got to see if maybe there's a better quality version
Yeah,
of it out there.
yeah.
But this is.
He never re-recorded that
I
one.
don't think he re-recorded this song because of how
Yeah.
how
yeah.
fucked up it is. It's the first time I heard it, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because of how painful that situation is for him, and how weird the situation is, and
Yeah.
how the style is so clashing with everything else you know.
Yeah.
And then it sat with me.
Yeah.
And like we used to joke when I was sick, my friend Chris and I was like, listen to Dan Swano, that's the singer.
Yeah.
Dan Swano's voice cures cancer. We'd go back and forth joking about this.
Yeah.
And he has many projects. Some straight up death metal stuff.
Is he still around? Is he still?
Oh yeah, no, he's
performing
still,
and stuff.
He actually, one of the things I showed you just before we started recording, he recorded in like 2006-7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
And it's avant-garde,
yeah,
power metal stuff.
yeah,
But he's doing all deep vocals. He's doing none of the falsetto stuff.
yeah.
He does a cover of Melissa by Merciful Fate.
That's one of the ones I
which
like.
is the best Merciful Fate cover.
Okay.
Done in the same style.
All right.
Because Metallica did great with their Merciful Fate
Mm-hmm.
movie. I've heard other good Merciful Fate covers, but his version of Melissa is powerful and
right.
fun,
I'll find it.
and it's high quality.
Yeah.
And he hits those falsettos tight,
Yeah.
which is hard. And now we're going back to something that we talked about. It's time to talk about South of Heaven by Slayer. Album title and
Yeah.
song title.
Yeah.
South of Heaven.
I noticed. Three out of the 4 picks that I had are the title tracks.
Yeah, but if it's a good song, it's a good song. If you look at the things that came out the same year this came out, there is nothing like it.
No.
It's when you look at like my last song, your last song, this song, there was nothing like this coming out in 1988.
No. You got to think.
We think was that Back to the Future 3?
Was it 3?
Is 2 or 3?
85.
Because 2 and 3.
86. I would say probably 2.
Okay, so
I think 3 might have come out in like 1990.
this is one of the albums I was handed, along with Haunting the Chapel.
Okay.
Haunting the Chapel, Cowboys from Hell. Dude in school, I'm going to call his name out, Giuseppe Randazzo, Joe Randazzo, the most Italian human being I've ever met.
Right.
And I don't mean it because he's one of those guys. He was, his parents were off the boat Italians. He used to call home in between classes.
Wow.
In Italian.
What, just to check in?
He wanted to talk to his parents.
Oh.
He was-
Okay.
He was close with his
I get
parents.
it. I get it. Hey,
have
I don't. Yeah.
no knock on that.
So South of Heaven. You got to think, like you said, what was coming out? Injustice for All was the same.
It was the same year, which is also a pretty brutal album.
I love that album.
and
by
it's
the way.
born from pain.
Right. But this song, I remember it from high school because I had a friend, Pete, and I used to walk to school with him in the morning. And he was always getting ready when I got there, so I had to sit on his couch and he would just put cassettes in his cassette and hit play. And that's how I found so many bands. And this is how, like I told you, Seasons in the Abyss was the first Slayer album I heard, and I thought it was awesome, right? And then everybody told me, oh, that's not Slayer. Slayer's so much better than that. And I went, okay, it sounds really cool to me. And then he put South of Heaven on, and it blew me away, man. Blew me away. Don't get me wrong. I love Seasons in the Abyss, but South of Heaven is the album for me. And like we said, the song starts off. I mean, I can't even explain how it made me feel.
I get that, because this to me is that unsettling feeling.
Yes.
The intro is that it's harmonic and discordant at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's got this.
It's got
the melody that pulls
Yes.
you in. It's got this it's a frenetic energy
Mm-hmm.
that builds up. It's got this driving force behind it, like they're building towards something.
Yes.
And it's that wind up before the punch in
Right.
the face, and every song feels like that.
Yeah.
Especially between Seasons in the Abyss, South of Heaven, and even though you haven't heard them, the last two albums are straight up grind punches to the face.
Yeah, but it's not trying. The thing
I don't think they're trying to do that.
But
It's just the way they
that's
write.
what I'm worried about. Is that I felt like once you have a brand, it's even Nine Inch Nails did this for me, where they almost try to make an album.
of that type.
Yeah, because Nine Inch Nails is on one of my other lists, and like I told you, that's angsty Mike, and it worked back then because I was 15.
Yeah.
But then when I get in my 20s and I get a Nine Inch Nails album and you're still doing the same, I'm like, dude.
Well, if you're feeling the same way at 15,
But that's what I mean.
That you
Is
felt
that
at
he?
15 and 30.
I feel like he was still trying to write those songs in the same vein.
I think he might still actually feel that way sometimes.
I wouldn't doubt it.
But his style, like barring the Atticus Ross stuff and the Grammy Award winning stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the straight up albums with Teeth, Ghost, all those, they're phenomenal pieces of work.
Mm.
But they're not aimed at us. They're not aimed at the
They're still
adult.
They're
He's
still looking
aiming
for
at
15-year-olds?
young people. He's
all right.
he's aiming at the emotions that teenagers feel.
Yeah.
Which I think are harder to grab onto the further you get from them.
Of course.
But
Man's in his 50s.
yeah, I know.
And then we'll go back to Slayer. It's the same thing. You're trying to do that, and your guy's in your 60s now.
But then when you look at it, if you're writing, like we look at Iron Maiden's writing about stuff that they never experienced.
Yes.
Rime of the Ancient Mariner, they're Flight of Icarus.
But that's why it's timeless.
Yes, and I think because Slayer's writing about something that you can see but you may not always feel yourself, they're hitting the nail on the head. They're hitting, everyone's felt rage, everyone's felt isolation, everyone's felt dark. Everyone's hit a deep dark place at one point in their life. If you haven't experienced darkness, you don't know the light.
Right.
And they are very, and as religious as Tom Araya has become, I think that's why their writing got so much darker.
Yeah.
And they got more aggressive because he realizes you can't celebrate the light without knowing how dark it can get.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
he's watched friends drop dead, and he's
Yeah.
watched friends give in to violence and anger and addiction and pain. The same thing, all these other bands experience. They're just being themselves about it. And
Yeah.
they're one of those bands that maybe didn't need to change. Like, we talk about things don't need to evolve.
Yeah.
There's some animals that just don't.
Yeah.
Like sharks haven't evolved.
But that's what turned me off to them. That's all. I want a little
you want a little
little
ballad?
evolution. A little no.
Would
No.
you want a ballad by
If Slayer
Slayer?
came out with a ballad, I would burn all my Slayer albums. But
Is it the same way everyone got mad at Metallica?
yeah,
Load and Reload?
I got stories about that too.
I have.
I
that's a
didn't
hill
like.
I'll die on.
I didn't like it, but
I'll even call out guys specifically.
it's enjoyable.
We
Some
in
of it.
college there was this guy Omar who called. Yeah, I'm calling him Liquor because there's no metal left. I'm like,
Sorry, I laughed at that.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. 2000, 2001. That's pretty funny.
Listen, we were talking about Scott on the way over here, and Scott and I we went to Florida, right? And
Like a date.
it was just me and him. A little Florida trip to Fort Lauderdale.
A lot of eye contact.
So we used to make fun of how strong they made the the riff look in Until It Sleeps, when after the breakdown, right? And he was in the shower. It was on MTV when MTV played music when we were in Florida, and I was in the room, and he comes running in from the bathroom in his towel, and we just both started. So fun, man.
They had to make it look tough because it's not.
Right.
But that's because they had the image to look up to.
Yeah.
They had the image to look out for. For me, those two albums are not metal albums, they're hard rock albums.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you look at them through the eyes of hard rock, they're really good albums.
Yeah.
They don't sit in this list at all.
No. We're deviating, but just the last thing on Metallica, those Load and Reload, really, your album title.
They album titled one, and they realized this is connected. We have to do another one. What do we call it? It couldn't be the second load. It had to be Reload. Because the second load would give away what the cover is.
Yeah.
Funny story. You're going to love this. One of my friends was dating a guy. His friend wanted to get the Load Flames tattooed on his arm. Not realizing, for those who do not know, the Load Flames are blood and semen. I think nobody should have told him and let him do it. And it would have made my life complete. Because I know this guy. And he's a good dude. He was an awesome guitarist. I know he's playing here and there. He's a chef. He does educational stuff. If he had blood and semen on his arm tattooed, I would howl every time I saw him online.
Oh, that's funny.
And I see him online a lot. So the next one.
Let's go.
Oh,
Is this me and you? I lost track. Oh, okay.
This is me.
Okay.
This is possibly the greatest song ever written.
Oh.
Black Sabbath, Black Sabbath.
Yeah. So good.
I was casually introduced to Black Sabbath. My dad listened to whatever was on the radio. If something came on weirdly. I had never heard Black Sabbath until I was in high school.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard it was not the first time I heard Black Sabbath. It wasn't the first album I heard Black Sabbath all the way through.
Right.
That was Paranoid. Paranoid was the first album beginning to end. And then someone told me I had to hear this.
This is a song you have to listen to in headphones. This is a headphone song for me. I don't know why.
I'm a stereo in the bedroom kind of person.
Okay. I can do both.
Our bedroom, we do not have a TV.
Yeah.
We have a projector for if we want to watch something on online, but in general, that's always off.
Okay.
What is always on are the speakers connected to a Chromecast for audio. And I'll playlist, like I have my tablet here. I have a tablet by the bed. I throw a playlist on and cast it to the speakers. They're great speakers. They were given to me by a coworker.
Okay.
They're phenomenal sounding. It makes everything sound good.
Yeah, this is a headphone one for me. I like listening to, even though it's dead space. Do you understand what I mean? Like I'm trying to explain the with the bells and I love the empty space.
The thunder and the rain sounds.
And it in headphones it makes it so much better for me.
The Black Sabbath, you've seen my love for Ozzy. Most people don't know this. I have heard every singer Black Sabbath has ever had sing this song.
Live?
Not in person,
Oh, okay.
but I've heard either bootleg cassettes or
Yeah.
bootleg CDs or something of each singer.
Ozzy's the best.
Ozzy was the original. I've heard Dio do it.
Yeah.
I've heard Tony Martin do it.
Okay.
I like Tony Martin better.
Really? I thought you were going to go
For this
Dio.
song.
I thought you were going to go Dio. Okay.
Dio, he hated singing Ozzy stuff.
Yeah.
And with good reason. He is a classically trained singer. He was a doo-wop singer. He had the ability, the voice, and Ozzy's using his voice to sing. He's not really that's Ozzy's voice.
Right. He's
so
not.
to sing it in Ozzy's voice was annoying to Dio.
Really?
One of the reasons he ended up quitting. The first time he quit.
Yeah.
Was a fight about singing Ozzy songs. Hence why Heaven and Hell, the band that he did with Tony Iommi, based on the album Heaven and Hell.
Yeah.
They made a separate band, did separate writing, and it was so good.
Yeah.
But back to Ozzy. Ozzy was 19 when they recorded this.
That one, right? Yeah.
It was put out it was recorded in 1969 and released in 1970.
Okay.
So this song came out right after Woodstock.
What I love is that we were both not born.
We were not even. We weren't even a thought in my parents' eyes
Yeah.
or your parents'
No,
eyes.
I don't even. No, my parents weren't even together yet.
Yeah, one of my parents. My mom stalked my dad. It's weird.
What?
We joke. My mom and dad knew each other since they were teenagers.
Yeah.
The joke is my mom stalked my dad because she used to follow him around like a puppy.
Okay.
So I always mess with her saying, "Oh, you stalked daddy," and she's like, "Stop it." Goes along with 8 other jokes I make about my parents. They're like salt and pepper shakers. This little adorable match set. But that specific album came out when everyone else was singing "Sunshine of Your Love,"
Right. Right.
and all these upbeat. Santana had "Oye Como Va." All this other upbeat and spiritual.
And then you got this.
and then the darkest. And the entire album it's not a concept album, but each song is conceptually dark.
Right.
This is about a black mass. This is about a witch's ceremony.
Oh yeah, you could. Yeah. The lyrics themselves.
Yeah,
just-
but this is written by the lyrics back then were a combination of Ozzy and Geezer.
that was right. It wasn't a book
This was
that was given
based
to
on
him,
a book, yeah.
right?
That whole first album is
Yeah.
completely twisted as far as writing, War Pigs and all that. But Black Sabbath hit me hard.
Yeah.
And this is what cemented me wanting to play bass, like wanting to be a bassist.
Really?
Like not just a bass player, but learn the instrument and play like Geezer.
Yeah.
Because that's the dream. Dream is Geezer and Steve Harris.
Right.
That's the I'm feeble reaching up for the for the finger of God. The Sistine Chapel, the full.
I have a picture to show you about that one.
I don't want to know about anything finger going up towards somebody.
No, off topic. No, when we were in Florida a few years ago, my God, it's probably about 9 or 10 years ago, there was a butterfly in my parents' lanai. I was in my bathing suit, but the picture was only taken, I believe Mary Jane took it, from my waist up, so I have no shirt on. I'm like this, reaching for the butterfly.
I need that photo.
My family and friends Photoshop me in every fucking
I need that photo.
situation.
I need
and
that-
one of them my brother-in-law did was the one with God.
That's the best one.
Yes,
Anyone reaching or pointing,
if I remember correctly, he put it in a frame and it was on his mantle above the fireplace.
like that big,
Like, no, not that. An 8x10.
I would do that with no shame. I would absolutely do that.
After this, I'll show you.
Hashtag Tom and Kincaid. I don't know why.
And if I do find it, we could put it on the show notes.
Oh, that is perfect. Just perfect. Now we're including photos in this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Our Instagram is going to be linked. This actual podcast cannot contain audio, but we will link the playlist in the description.
Right,
So you
'cause-
guys will be able to hear what we're talking about. It's going to be each song in the order we talk about it and why.
Right, because the copyrights, we can't play the music. We can't even play a part of the music, really.
It would max out at 8 seconds
Yeah,
without
so-
a strike.
So,
So we want to give you content. We want to give you what we're hearing from each other, but we got to focus on what we have and
Right.
not keeping it from the rest of the world.
and
So we're gonna-
entertain you through our imagination, through your imagination. Theater of the mind. Gross.
All right, so the next one.
Yes.
This is you. Soldiers Under Command by Stryper. The least evil thing I've ever heard, yet possibly the
Come on,
most
man.
evil thing I've ever heard.
How can we not do The Devil Made Me Do It without a Stryper song? At least in my head.
Because antithesis is important. So for those who don't know, the song is
The title track again.
the title track, Soldiers Under Command, 1985 Stryper. Stryper is a synonymous Christian rock band.
Maybe the original.
No.
Well, heavy metal.
They are the
Christian
first.
rock
They are
band.
the first openly
Yeah?
religious band.
Well, the heavy metal part.
Yeah, there are a lot of heavy metal guys who are very religious, very devout Christians.
Right.
But these guys were not only devout Christians, they were very open about preaching and bringing people into their religion. They distributed Bibles at their own shows.
Yeah.
They handed out Bibles. Stryper was known for the black and yellow stripes.
Yes.
and their Bibles, their guitars, their Bibles, everything had black and yellow.
Did the
stripes.
Bibles have black and I didn't
They
know
did.
that.
They used to hand them out to the crowd, which is a dangerous game for a crowd. If you hand out Bibles and they start throwing them, you're gonna hurt.
That's gonna hurt. Yeah, it's a big book.
The singer Michael Sweet is a glam metal icon.
Yeah.
Super amazing voice.
And I also got to say, don't get me wrong. I didn't put this on as a joke.
I know you didn't.
I
The second I saw it, I'm like, I see what he did here.
Yeah.
And I listened to it the same 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
The same as every other song. Gave it a real, like, this has some of the most notes about it.
The reason why I picked it is because it's truly, and as most of their songs are truly good.
Yeah, no, they're really good.
You know? And as much as it makes me, I joke around about it and I laugh about it. If you listen to the song,
It's a good song.
it's
the shortest amount of lyrics in a song.
that song.
That song-
Even less than "To Hell with the Devil."
Yes. I checked. It's the shortest amount of lyrics I've ever seen.
Yeah, because
And of these
it was a
songs-
toss up between those two songs, "To Hell with the Devil" and "Under Command," and I picked this one because I felt like it had a little more substance to it.
It does have a lot of substance to it. It has a lot of their personal belief and their feelings in
Right.
it. One thing I love about Stryper, and this is, I'm not a religious person, they are very religious.
Right.
They are, in a time when it was sex, drugs, excess, they had no allegations.
Yeah.
They, to this day, nobody's ever accused them of anything.
Anything. Yeah.
They,
And the great thing is you listen to the lyrics and you can feel that they believe it. It's not
it's wholehearted.
done. It's not done as a gimmick.
and it's not tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
It's
the
very
real deal.
earnest.
It's
Yeah.
the real deal.
They are, as much as I am not religious, I see what they're doing and I
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
respect that.
Yeah.
That is a huge,
I mean, we had that again. We always say we're not going to do religion
In the car.
but
we don't shut the fuck up.
damn, where was I going with this? Damn, I forgot.
Yes. Got him. I'll throw this out because it's weird. The black and yellow motif.
Yeah.
Everything being stripes. I love it.
Yeah, and then the name I never knew. This is what I was telling you in the car too. The Isaiah 53:5.
Yeah.
I read. I never knew what it meant. I never, as a kid growing up, I never even thought to look it up, and I did.
Yeah.
And it explains the name. I never questioned the name.
We sometimes see something that's like, oh yeah, it's a Bible
Stryper.
quote.
All right,
Whatever.
Yeah.
Shadow Demise. We had a song. One of this, it was, nobody ever knows what Psalm 69 is.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
So we looked it up, and my singer Steve said, "Help me, O God, for the waters are up to my neck."
Okay. That's what Psalm 69
That's
is?
exactly what Psalm 69 is.
Okay.
There's an entire song written about that. Shadow Demise wrote, and it's "Save me, O God, for the."
Well, isn't that
for
a
the
ministry album too?
Yeah, Psalm 69.
Yeah.
but nobody ever looked up what it meant.
Yeah.
It's like John 3:16.
Yeah.
I forget what that is.
Yeah.
but everyone's seen it. Nobody knows what it is.
I've read it before. I don't remember what it means either. I know.
Go Mets. I don't know.
Go Mets.
I don't know.
What?
I don't like baseball. So the other thing is, I don't know if you know this, but Michael Sweet, the guitarist and singer for Stryper, also fronted Boston from 2007 to 2011.
What?
Yeah, I had to look it up.
What? Is this after the guy died from a
Brad
barbecue
Delf,
barbecue in
Barbecue in his
the
bedroom.
bathroom? Oh, bedroom, whatever it was.
Yes, I forget, Brad Delf, very depressed, decided to put a barbecue in his bedroom.
Yeah, and
seal
carbon
off the
monoxide.
windows, leave notes for his family not to come in, and committed suicide. And one of the singers he was replaced by was Michael Sweet from.
That's crazy.
And I'm not a huge Boston fan. You know, everyone
I
knows
know,
more than
more
a
than
feeling.
That's it. Yeah.
We'll get into the 80s rock bands.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a list, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to break it out now. The song "Jukebox Hero" by Foreigner.
Yes.
My son loves that song. He is 6 years old.
Right.
He heard that song and thought it was Juicebox Hero.
Yes.
And it is.
Come on, you got to keep that for misheard lyrics.
It's gonna be, and it's not mine.
It's a preview. It's your
but
son's.
it's great. It's he loves that song. He bops his head in the back seat of the car. Loves it.
Juicebox Hero.
So
That's awesome.
that leads us to your bonus song.
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, no.
No, it doesn't.
We got one more.
We got
yours.
one
That
more on my side, and this is the darkest, angriest song I've ever heard. 1999's DNR by Testament. Do Not Resuscitate.
Yes.
This was, for those who do not know, Testament is a Bay Area thrash band. They are part of the Big Four.
Yeah.
You know,
Are they?
they belong there more than Slayer.
Yeah.
As far as, do you consider Slayer thrash, or do you consider them one of the roots of death metal?
No, I always thought it's
I
thrash.
consider them. I don't know.
But if that's the case, then
If I'm gonna get rid of anybody from the Big Four, it's Megadeth,
oh, I hate you.
and I like Megadeth. I am an Anthrax guy. I love
Yeah.
Megadeth. I am a dual Anthrax guy.
I have to be an Anthrax guy. They came from my neighborhood, basically.
Here's the argument: I like John Bush better.
I can't do this with you anymore.
Did I just break up the club?
Oh my god.
I love John Bush.
Yeah.
First Anthrax I heard was John Bush.
All that stuff.
It's
If
amazing.
only, or whatever the hell it was.
Only was an awesome song. Not as good as most of Stomp 442 was good, but Volume 8, the entire album, with Dan Spitz gone, they
Yeah.
got Dimebag to fill in.
Yeah.
Dimebag Darrell to fill in on guitar without credit, and he rocked it.
Yeah.
And that album is just pure, just a kick to the face.
All right.
I
But go ahead. Go.
agree to disagree. So DNR, I
Yeah.
did not hear when it came out.
Okay.
I was
This is the first time I've heard it too. Well,
really.
yeah, I've dabbled in Testament here and there, but
Is it the name?
No. What, DNR or
No,
or
Testament.
No.
Some people think, oh, they're a religious band.
No, I never got that for a second. But it's just one of those ones that never caught. I would listen to it, I would like it, but it never caught on.
Really?
Yeah. I'll listen to it. Another one where if it came on the playlist.
The early thrash stuff, like the regular thrash stuff, is very different than this.
Yeah.
And I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Low is one of my favorite albums, Testament Low.
So you could tell me
You didn't get into it.
You can call me Blow. I'd say Blow. I don't know.
This is gonna be this album in particular is gonna be a deep dive somewhere
Okay.
down the line. But DNR it's an album kickoff. Mm-hmm. The first
Really,
time,
the first song of the album.
first track.
Okay.
I am a big fan of how albums start and
Yes,
end.
absolutely. That was another topic I was thinking of. Is start off song.
This starts off the album and it sets a tone that he sets it up and keeps it going through the entire album.
Okay.
There is not there's not a moment of peace in this album.
They don't take their foot off the gas.
No,
Just go.
Not once. It is brutal, 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 brutal. But this song, specifically what it's saying,
Yeah.
no matter what happens, do not bring me back.
That's pretty fucking dark, dude.
And this is the second album they made post his bout with throat cancer.
Okay.
So he's writing this from that standpoint. Do not bring me back.
See, now that's a cool fucking story, man.
They had one album before this.
That now had he died?
No.
Oh, okay.
He had no cardiac stoppage,
yeah.
nothing. His experience was pain. And coming from that probably fear of being sick and,
Right,
that's what most people who sign DNRs don't want to suffer.
Just let me go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the thing that amazes me about this is the second album after his treatment. The first album, his voice sounds like pure gravel. Like it's straight, it's not thrash metal.
Yeah.
It's a death metal album. It's
They
so
made
guttural.
it that way.
I think that's all he could do
Yeah.
at that point.
No, but I mean the music changed as well.
Music changed and everything.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a shift between, I think it might have been Low, and I forget the name of that album offhand. But those two albums in between, his cancer treatment was there, his recovery's there.
Yeah.
His voice hadn't come back yet. Like it was still healing. And in that process, he got real growly, real aggressive.
Yeah.
And then on this album, he was able to sing with the growl.
Are they still around? Are they still around? Are they
They're still
making
touring,
albums?
still writing.
Oh,
they
okay.
have the best rhythm section in heavy metal right now.
Really?
They have Steve DiGiorgio on bass
Even better than Iron Maiden.
from Death.
Okay.
Steve DiGiorgio from Death and from Control Denied. And they have Dave Lombardo from Slayer on drums.
Okay.
This is a step to the side. I won't call it a step up or down.
Yeah.
From their previous drummer, who was a monster. My brain just stopped again. It
what?
just quits. I'm looking
What?
for a name. I went. My
Don't worry
brain
about
went
the
for a
names.
name.
Don't worry about the names. Now,
So
go ahead.
to talk about this drummer, not Lombardo, but the previous drummer, he hurt me.
Why?
I went to see.
What do you mean?
I went to see Slayer. Not Slayer. I went to see Testament.
He took
on-
you backstage.
I was by the sound booth,
Oh God! Wait a minute. Go ahead.
which is far back, and I'm sitting there enjoying the show, and these songs, they start playing songs from this album, and they get to a song from the middle of this album, and his double bass was rattling my chest
Awesome.
to the point where it hurt.
Yeah.
I have never heard anyone play like that. Now we
I've
know
only heard
there-
one other story
There
like
are
that.
triggers. He plays with triggers like most live drummers do, because drums need to be amplified.
Yeah.
But he hit so hard, I could feel it in my chest.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And the only thing I regret from that show is that the bassist that they were using at the time was their original bassist and not Steve DiGiorgio. Steve DiGiorgio was on this album.
Okay.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, this lineup is DiGiorgio and Lombardo. Mm-hmm. So this had Dave Lombardo on it.
The album itself.
This album.
Okay. Now, this is what I wanted to ask you.
The Gathering by
is there an evolution with Testament?
100%.
Like you told me that one album, I wanted
It's a shift.
that I would respect the shit out of, because
They
listen,
put out a straight up death metal album.
right, and then went
And then they went to this.
okay,
And then from this, they've turned back into thrash.
Right.
But now it's an older, more mature, still fast as hell, still aggressive as hell. But
Yeah.
it is like they hang out with bikers.
Yeah.
Like they're huge in the biker community. They ride they have a song called Henchman Ride. They hang out with the henchmen. These are awesome songs.
Yeah.
The same way that like most people make fun of Metallica for their changes.
Yeah.
Because they don't know the pain and suffering that they had when they were younger. They no longer have to think about that. Testament's still writing about the same stuff. Wanting to be happy, and not being, wanting to not be angry and still being angry, being afraid.
yeah,
People make fun of metal for not being, just for being rah, 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 and it's not.
it's not.
And
That's one thing that I wish people would understand. And I'm sure your parents, my parents, my mom, to this day, I remember you used to go in the basement and listen to that devil music. I'm like, Mom, if you just listen to what they were saying.
2 floors down, I got the same two.
Yeah.
Doing the same stuff. My dad in the car was making fun of something I was listening to. It was 80s music. It
Yeah.
wasn't even. He goes, I prefer the other stuff. My wife switched tracks,
Yeah.
and it goes to Andy James. He's a guitarist. He puts out solo guitar work, no vocals.
Right.
And it's a song After Midnight.
Yeah.
And that song, just my dad's grooving to it.
Yeah.
He's the current guitarist
Same,
for Five Finger
yeah.
Death Punch.
Really?
Yeah. He's one of the
hilarious.
current guitarists for
I
Five
don't
Finger.
like Five Finger Death Punch.
I have opinions. They're both good and bad.
Yeah.
Like there's some stuff that they wrote that's really cool. They have a duet with Halford.
Really?
Yes, and it's a really good Halford duet.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it was written for his voice.
Yeah.
And that leads us to our final song.
Yes.
Better by You, Better Than Me by Judas Priest.
Not a heavy metal song.
Not a heavy metal song.
Not
this
a
is a
devil
rock
song.
and roll song. It is not a devil song. It is just unfortunately linked to the term evil.
Right.
Because
the Satanic Panic.
the Satanic Panic is really based on D&D.
I know.
But
Heavy metal music
heavy metal came
into
under
it.
heavy
Yeah.
fire, and these guys, Halford and it was Halford, Tipton, Hill, and Downing.
Right.
Really, and I forget the drummer. It might have been Atkins.
Mm-hmm.
But they got sued because a kid committed suicide.
And they said that
They-
this is
the
one of the
family
songs
claims
where that it was the reverse playing it in reverse.
That there was
do
something
it,
hitting-
do it or something, do it.
Initially, they were talking about reverse lyrics. Then it was underneath his breath.
Yeah.
To the point where Rob Halford sat on the stand and sang the chorus and the outro to the song to the court so they could hear his breathing while
Yeah.
he did it.
It's amazing.
It's unfortunate that he had to do that.
Yeah.
This is a guy who, if you ever follow him on Instagram, Rob Halford Legacy on Instagram,
Love that man.
he
He's the best.
He is not only a heavy metal icon, he is a animal activist.
Right, he's a humanitarian.
He's a humanitarian. He's a gay icon. He's a flag carrier for all of these things that shouldn't be issues, but they've made issues over time.
Right.
Like the fact that he has to say you shouldn't hurt animals
Yeah.
is amazing. Like he shouldn't have to get on a box to yell that.
And the man is, how old is he?
72.
72?
72.
And he just, they're still touring. They just came around here a few weeks ago.
They were just inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
From what I hear, there's also a recording of a duet with him and Dolly Parton from that show.
I heard that as well.
If that is true and that comes out, I am ripping that and I'm giving it to everybody I know. Because Jolene by Dolly Parton is one of the greatest songs ever written.
Okay. I like it.
It is.
I wouldn't say greatest of all time.
It's one of the greatest songs ever written.
Hey, listen, I'll give
when
it to
you think about songs, especially in that topic,
Yeah.
stealing, getting your man stolen, stealing somebody else's, that is, it could be in a heartbreaker list. It's so good. She's writing about the insecurities of a grown woman who's married to a man that is in love with another woman.
Yeah.
Moaning her name in his sleep. That's messed up. I don't know where Rob Halford fits into that song.
Well, wait, is that the song they did?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
If
Maybe he's just harmony. Maybe he's just.
I can't imagine how those voices fit together, but I'm dying to hear it.
We'll have to look it up after this.
The other thing, when they sued Judas Priest, I don't think they expected them to show up to court.
Really?
Because they were sued in America.
Yeah.
And they're not American citizens.
Right,
These
of course.
guys are English. These are Steel Town English guys. And Halford was the one who said, we have to go.
Yeah.
They defended not only defended themselves, but they defended the type of music that they were playing to a level that most musicians don't ever have to do.
Right.
There's only
And did it well.
I think there's only a few other musicians in history that have ever defended themselves like that. John Denver, Dee Snider, Frank Zappa at the PMRC conferences, Randy Blythe in Prague, Czech Republic.
Wasn't he? He was accused of murder, right?
He was being accused of murder because of a crowd incident.
So it wasn't him personally. It was the band playing and.
No, it was him personally because he pushed the kid off the stage.
Oh, okay.
But the kid was beaten by security and knocked around. It was, excuse me. It was a horrible time for him, and it led to a very good album.
Yeah.
But he went through hell.
Yeah.
Frank Zappa, they did not expect him to come in and defend himself at the PMRC like that. Dee Snider wiped the floor.
I remember that.
And
Yeah.
Dee Snider came in t-shirts, sunglasses. It looked like he was hungover.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, Dee Snider's not a party guy.
No, I don't think so.
I think he's not a teetotaler, but definitely reserved.
Yeah.
And for those who don't listen to Twisted Sister, they're a party band. The very few things they've written about evil is like you're going to burn in hell because you're evil.
You're gonna burn in hell.
They were in
love
trouble for the song "Under the Blade," which they thought it was about murder.
Yeah.
It was about him going under surgery for polyps in his throat. John Denver, who attacks John Denver?
I don't even remember the John Denver one.
Rocky Mountain High.
Really?
Yeah,
Why? Because he talks about getting high.
he doesn't. But because
Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. You're just talking
because
about.
we interpret music.
Right.
They interpreted music through the eyes of I want to cause trouble.
Get out of here.
On the same group of accusations was Wasp,
Okay.
who are Staten Island guys, by the way. I did not know that.
I
they
didn't
were
know
Staten
that.
Island guys. And they defended themselves too, but they didn't. It wasn't public.
Yeah.
But Dee Snider, Frank Zappa really tore him to shreds. Dee Snider tore to shreds. And John Denver, being the nicest person in America at the time,
Yeah.
was like, we're just having fun.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. It's all good. And on that note, this has been The Devil Made Me Do It, episode 3 of Mike and Dave Hit the Stage. We're going to get this right one day.
This was cool, man.
As usual, it's been a pleasure. We love you. I love you.
I love you, dude.
And this has been a great time.
Peace.
We'll see you soon.